Hello all, welcome to today's expert panel session on Metaverse. We have four different experts here, uh, including me. So we have Vivek here, who is a performance testing expert. We have Astika here, who is a product management expert. We have Sugandha here, who is a hyper automation expert here. Uh, yeah, without delaying much, let's just have some good expert panel discussion here. Let's start with the first question. Let's discuss what is Metaverse according to different experts here.
Mm-hmm.
Who want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. So hello everybody. I am Sugandha Sahay. I work for AWS as a technical program manager, and one of the key areas of interest for me is hyper automation. So I focus a lot on like bringing hyper automation solutions for my teams and my partnering teams. And from the metaverse perspective, I believe that for my my area, I see a lot of potential from the in metaverse, and here's why. So one of the important things that I need to do when I'm presenting my hyper automation solution to a team is kind of help them visualize and paint the picture of what that solution is. While I have things going in my head, when I'm trying to, explain to the teams, different people get different ideas. And bringing them to the same page requires then me going into a tool and building out that experience and then, showing it to them. My version of metaverse to help me would be like some form of augmented reality where I'm sitting in a room with my colleagues and talking to them, and while I'm talking, the the system, the platform is doing speech to like text and then text to video for me, and whatever I'm talking, they're kind of playing it for them, in an augmented reality right in front of the table. That would make my life so easy. And, any person's life who's working in my role, trying to bring solutions to the teams and to the partners so they can see what I'm really talking about, thinking about, and we can be on the same page. And I would like love to hear others' views on this or like their applications of metaverse, but this is like one very like it sounds very unreal, but it's like one of the things that I think would really help me and kickstart people in my kind of roles.
Okay. Thanks, Sugandha. That was like really good way you have put out the definition for it. For rest of you, hi, my name is Vivek and I work for United Healthcare. My expertise around performance testing. So coming back to Metaverse, for me, I believe it's more like a virtual space to start with. We have all been exposed to Metaverse in some way or the other, because if you really think about a multiplayer game where you're played with more than one person at a time, it's sort of a concept of Metaverse, but I think of late in last few years, it has been really taken to a next level with the technology, and it happened because now we have access to high-speed internet, and we are able to do that data transfer much more quickly. Metaverse, in simple terms, if I want to term it, it's a elevation to our existing virtual space. So nowadays we are seeing we can use the space for more beyond just gaming or entertainment. Um, it's just another open space where you can be yourself. You can design what you want to be, where you want to be. In reality, we are restricted to be in certain space with certain people. Virtual reality can give you wings to pretty much do anything beyond your control. So I would stick to that basic definition and understanding of metaverse, and others can share your views as well.
Yeah, thank you, Vivek. I can go next. Hey, everyone, this is Astika Gupta. I work at Meta as a product manager. And working at Meta has definitely given me some little access to kind of, the metaverse world at Meta internally and what, the bright minds of Meta have been building. And one of the key use cases that I see for myself as a PM in the professional world is definitely professional collaboration at workplace. I mean, after the pandemic, we have all been, working virtually, not going into the office much. And so that has definitely, taken away that social interaction or like that, feeling of being on a team and working together. And so I think the virtual collaboration aspect of Metaverse, wherein, I feel that I'm in a group, in the same room with my group, and I can see others, I can see their gestures, I can see, what's being, displayed on the whiteboard, for example. It does feel that, I'm in the same room whiteboarding my solutions and like just having a good interaction with the other team members. So definitely, gives me that feeling of like togetherness and collaboration much more. The other areas where I feel Metaverse can help me as a product manager is definitely user research. As a PM, I'm supposed to just do a lot of user research before we come up with different solutions of a product. And so I can definitely see a use case wherein, you have a simulated environment to collect feedback and insights from, real world users without inviting them into the office or without like, the team going into the real world. And the other use case that comes to mind is like virtual product demos. So as a PM, again, a large part of my work is to just like demo the product constantly. Either it's to like get buy-in from other stakeholders or to like just, advocate for the team and just showcase what the team has been building. I definitely feel that, when it comes to demoing a product to like other clients or to like other people in different parts of the world, this can definitely give an experience which is, not just like a 2D experience. It's much more like a real world experience. So yeah, those are some of the experiences that I feel Metaverse can help in the professional world. Again, from a personal standpoint, I do feel that it's gonna like help me, just be in touch, have that feeling of being in touch with my family and my friends who are like in different parts of the world more. I'm really excited to kind of probably, have a day in my life where I feel that, me being in New York and my mom being in like Mumbai, we are just like in the same room watching like a Netflix, series together or something. And that's realistic now through Metaverse. Yeah. Ajay, do you want to go next?
Thanks for sharing your views, Astika. So, hi all, I'm Observability subject matter expert at Richie Auctioneers. So my point of view regarding Metaverse is it's a collective shared space, as mentioned by other experts here. So where users can actually interact in real time using digital avatars. So in regards of operations point of view, I would see it can benefit in terms of virtual collaboration, remote training with operations teams, people like site reliability engineers, platform engineers, DevOps engineers can actually coordinate. And the other stakeholders like developers, QAs, and the senior leadership can actually view what's happening. Probably some nice cool dashboards when Metaverse goes mainstream. It would be really helpful for other teams what's happening and visualize then just seeing them, the conversations on the charts. Yeah, I would say that was one of the best use case in terms of observability point of view. Does anyone have any other comments here? Regarding the experts, before we move on to second question.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah, I do want to say, I'm sorry, Vivek, that once I'm hearing all of you, it's interesting how we're thinking about like work and then we're thinking about personal life and we're talking about being more connected. And I've seen so many concerns that people have that what if metaverse like makes people more alienated, So I'm like very curious to hear what you all think, because all we're talking about is connecting people, bringing people together, bringing your mom with you, Astika, and in your case, Ajay, you're with your like teammates and leaders, and Vivek said we're gaming together, and I'm thinking about like us like being in the same room and like walking through ideas and stuff. What do you all think about like it going alienating people?
Honestly, I'll take that question first. So You're right. One way we are going closer towards being more collaborative when it comes to work, but in personal space, we do see there is a distance. People are getting more introvert. Not only with metaverse, if you see in the last 4 or 5 years also, the definition of socializing has really changed. I see people are more into, staying home, ordering food. They don't want to go outside. They want to just watch something on the TV. They want to have like a video calls versus going out and playing. Even these days, I see going to a movie theater or going to watch a game has been not been done at the same level it used to be. So personal social interaction, there is a change. May not be directly influenced by metaverse, but so many other things are contributing to it, making things life easier for us for whatever we need. But there are other avenues when it comes to work where it has actually increased the interaction, like where we can be in a virtual space and still talk to each other and be in the same room and experience the same stuff. And one other thing I recently heard about, which is really interesting, is some companies are building a suit which you are wearing it, and let's say if the other person is also wearing the same suit, if they want to touch you, the signals can be transmitted. You can actually feel that. So that was one of the main aspect people were saying. Okay, no matter what, it's still virtual. No matter what, you can never see that happening. In real life, you'll never have the human touch. But things are evolving. People are getting interested. They are investing in things like this. So you may have more interaction that way, but in social space, personal space, friends and family, going out, that social space, I do see it will create more barriers, unless you put the effort to really go out. I doubt, you'll become more introvert, and I totally feel that way.
Yeah, I can go next. I mean, I agree mostly with what Vivek said, that a lot of the other factors have also contributed to us, working and like being how we are today, like be it the pandemic or be it the advent of like Zoom or whatever, Skype and stuff, where people are already, used to working from different locations, but still, the work gets done through virtual connections. And so with metaverse, I feel that is just taking that step, one step further, and making that like just, that conversation of one-to-one person, one-to-one people with like just the heads being shown with like an experience of like multiple people being in the same room where you can see like their gestures in real time and stuff. And it allows you to work together by not being in the same room, but still give you the feeling of being in the same room. So I feel that based on where we are today, metaverse will definitely kind of encourage us or like give us that real world experience of working together. But again, I already see like some of the social behavior changing to like people not going out to meet friends socially or just like relying on technology to kind of make that connection. Whether metaverse is gonna like worsen that or encourage us more to go out, I don't really know. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that currently with the headsets that are available to kind of access metaverse, it's not really humanly possible to have that headset like 24/7, right? So just thinking that for every little social interaction, we are just going to rely on metaverse, that's like an extreme as of today. But in the future, if like, it's just converted into like a specs or something, whether it's like where it's like really light to wear or the gear is like really light and very easy to use, probably at that point we can probably say that, social connections would be relied more on metaverse.
So Astika, I have a question. So when you say that, do you think people are getting more productive in the office space when they are in the metaverse versus metaverse? How do you think it is helping us to be more productive? It's really valuable in that sense?
I think it does. For me, like I definitely say that that, it's increased the productivity, or it will increase productivity, just because it's very easy for me to articulate and to show somebody what I'm thinking by just like, making use of like the whiteboard, or like just writing notes, and like people can really see that in real time, or having more of my like full bodies gesturing and stuff like that, where I can also see like other people and what their gestures are. It's just like more of an aid to where we are today. Like today, again, like we are having a group conversation here, but there are limitations that come with it, right? Like if I make something on the whiteboard, I'll literally have to like hold it up, or there are like applications today where I can write it and you all can see. But I just feel that having that experience of like people coming together and having that real world conversation definitely does give a boost in morale, definitely does give a boost in like articulation, and eventually will have like an indirect or indirect effect on productivity going up high as well.
I agree with Astika. So I am not good at drawing, right? So when I try to draw something, it doesn't look like it at all. And I really wanted an aid, like, to like something to draw for me. When OpenAI came up with DALL-E, and then, there were other versions of it. And like, I was trying it out with my brother-in-law, who is in, creative space when I was in India. There was like so many possibilities where you can just write and like make it look like what you want, with the right vast phrases and stuff. I was very excited with the possibility, and immediately my mind went that, wow, like now I can really show people what I'm trying to say. And that's when I was like thinking about it, that, I always wanted something where what I'm thinking in my head, I can convey that to people and get them on the same page. Because sometimes it takes me a while to get them there. And, I feel that we're losing efficiency in all the to and fro, right? And a lot of people who are not good with words, who are not good storytellers, can't paint the right picture, but they have great ideas. So why should they have any less of an impact with their ideas than people who are better storytellers? I'm not against people, becoming better storytellers. I think we should all strive for it. But I think this metaverse, AI, and the way we are evolving with technology can make us better storytellers. And if we see our evolution, then we were like, we couldn't speak, and we would like, maybe go like and talk like that. Now we are using words to talk, and our dictionaries are evolving, and then we have visual aids coming up. So we started like writing, painting, drawing to express, and we started realizing people are more visual, and now everybody is using visual aids, presentations, in interviews as well. That's working really well for people to explain what they're doing. So I think in every aspect of life, like, if you could like do a metaverse interview, just think about that, how productive it would be. Like, I can give my example, right? When I interviewed for Amazon 3 years ago, when I was doing system design, I was just talking through it, and they had no clue what I was saying. And of course, I was rejected. This time, when I gave my interview with Amazon, I shared my screen and I started drawing it on a shared whiteboard, and they exactly knew what I was talking about. And, that made the whole difference. So I see opportunities in interviews, I see opportunities in, productivity, but I disagree in terms of like, people being alienated, because I think that's a state of mind. And I have felt more connected with my family and friends during the pandemic because of technology, because I could do the Zoom calls, and I have started feeling more included, because earlier, like if there was an event, it would just happen. But pandemic brought this new normal where they would include a live streaming, they would include a Zoom call, and then I can be a part of it as well from here in Florida. So, I kind of, that's my thoughts, but I'm curious to hear like what,
Sugandha, I mean, I totally get what you said. You're
yeah.
able to be in a space where you want to be with the people you want to be. But on the flip side, is there any reduction, or is there any change in the way where you used to do the physical interaction with outside people, like a strangers going out, being in some activity, attending some events? So that aspect wise, have you seen any decrease once you started liking the, being with people who you want to be in the metaverse or a digital space?
Well,
Is it
I'm personally very extroverted, so I've not seen any, change in my behavior. But I would want to hear more from a different perspective, because people are social, they will be social, is what I think. Because I like, based on my experience, I know a lot of people in my family and friends who are social, and they continue to be, pandemic or no pandemic, metaverse or no metaverse, they're social here and there, you know. But I want to hear from people who don't consider themselves to be like majorly extrovertish like me. If any one of you know somebody, I would love to hear that perspective.
Guys, do you want to move to other questions? I think this is a nice discussion to be continued on the first question, but do we want to go around the questions or just continue like this?
Let's take it this style, or we can just throw in once we are done with any thoughts we have. Yeah, so Sugandha, I'm not like, I don't know, how do I describe myself, but there are days where I'm like really extrovert, there are days I'm very introvert, but what it has done me is pushed me more towards introvert. Because I've started enjoying seeing things which I like. The other side, it takes a great deal of planning and effort to really go out and do something. Usually I push that for a weekend or when I have some company, versus where I would have done without anyone before. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'm qualified to answer this, but I see that I'm finding more convenience, more entertaining ways to that has slightly pushed me towards more introvert.
I see.
That's my personal experience.
Interesting. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, in terms of benefits for IT companies, I just had a comment, like it really can benefit the virtual remote collaboration training. It can help the customer engagement boost. So I see it has great potential when Metaverse can be integrated into different tools in IT companies.
And that brings me to another point. I'm hearing some people make comments that, when it comes to IT with all this collaborative stuff, the carbon footprint will be reduced. They say that people don't have to travel as much or be in the one conference in one part of the globe where everyone has to fly in. There's an interesting discussion. People have a take on how it is improving the environment as well. But I do feel with all this tech, the amount of resources it uses, be it creating these devices or be it electricity or anything else, it somewhere compensates, or it's may not be as environment friendly. But yes, talked about IT and usage, so that was one interesting comment I came across very recently.
Yeah, and the impact it's going to have on the travel industry, because we saw the industry crash during pandemic, right? So that's an interesting study as well from the metaverse perspective. But I don't know what you all think. I do think that metaverse will create new economic opportunities, in terms of like building platforms and building new jobs to create those experiences. But then I also feel that it's gonna have like a major impact on these areas of travel industry, and like if we we were talking about metaverse weddings the other day, Vivek and Ajay, and so what's gonna happen to like the whole all the workers who work in the wedding industry if we move to metaverse for weddings? I'm like, there's like a huge set of discussions, like work and outside, but like it's very interesting to me that like the possibilities it's bringing forward. Like I went to Disney a few weeks ago, and like, there were experiences there where I felt transported. I knew I was on a ride. I knew it. But when I was there, I don't know why my mind was so tricked that I was feeling like, oh my God, I am in the space. There was a very interesting ride. It simulates that you're going to Mars, and they actually simulate 2.5 G force, right? And I could feel my face literally like go, like, feel the force, and I could actually feel that I'm shooting off Earth's orbit. It was very interesting experience for me. Also, like, very like scary, but also, I could feel that what these astronauts feel. Like, it was super interesting that how real things are getting when you have these experiences. Have any of you felt that?
I don't know what ride you're talking about, Sugandha. I've been to Disney too. Probably it's a new ride, but I do remember that they had a few like simulation rides too, and I was also like just like you, I had the similar experience of, oh my God, what is this, right? I'm just like sitting here on this like chair, but I'm like, feeling so many other sensory feelings that they say. Actually, that reminds me of another good point that, in the metaverse, you'll probably get that feeling of being with other people just because you're looking like, visually, there are other people, but like, what about the other sensory feelings? Like you can't touch anybody, or as Vivek said, that probably you could in the future, but it's still not real, right? It's not 100% real. And people have tasted what it feels like and lived their lives in like a 100% real world. So I don't think that metaverse totally is gonna like just replace our like real world and the lives that we have been leading. So probably it'll just as far as like efficiency is concerned, and if it's like making things easier for somebody to get done, probably that's where like metaverse can really, really help and is a really good tool. But when it comes to kind of the experience of life, like as a human being, you need other sensory feelings also. Like there are like so many senses that we have, right? Like there's touch, there's smell, there's so much more to it than just visual. So I think that's a really great point that you brought up, Sugandha. And I think just for that reason, I'm totally convinced that metaverse is not gonna like 100% replace us or alienate us more.
Yeah, I agree. Metaverse has a lot of benefits, but at the same time, I see there are a lot of barriers for metaverse to become it as mainstream, such as technical challenges like latency, bandwidth, performance. So servers needs to be fine-tuned to provide seamless and immersive experience for the users, right? They should not feel disconnected in the middle because of some network glitches or the internet speed. Also, the privacy and security concerns. These days, we notice a lot of identity thefts are happening, right? So companies have to make sure the user's data is more secured and not stolen. So yeah, there are a lot of other challenges for it to become mainstream in the upcoming years, but I see it has some great potential.
I feel it will become mainstream, whether one way or the other. The reason is I know the barriers you guys talked about, especially starting from Sugandha. You said the headset is too heavy, and that's totally true. But this headset did not even exist a few years back. So when they started seeing the potential, they started investing on these, and slowly the Oculus and others we have seen evolve to give you much more immersive experience. And that's why Facebook renamed themselves as Meta, because they wanted to heavily invest in metaverse, and that's how everything started for them, right? They're committed to invest billions of dollars to it. So when they see potential, when they see businesses there, these big companies will jump in. And any barriers we talk about today, be it speed or performance and all that, I see there is a way. I mean, if you're connecting to the cloud and you're trying to process it, there is a latency, lag, all that, but everything sort of resides in your headgear itself, and still it is so bulky to carry. So that's when the processing, everything happens locally, and then you don't have a huge latency happening. That's why whenever we install a game in our laptop and play, it's much more speed, faster, and good compared to when we play any online games, because that's when all this comes in. And data concerns is always there wherever you go. irrespective of metaverse or not. Today, we have data concerns in any industry. And frankly, there are no regulations as such for now. I believe it's being made by any government or something. That's where most of this are, going in any direction they can, similar to crypto. But sooner or later, there will definitely be more regulations on the data and how it should be processed. And so we might see changes happening. But again, if there is a business, companies will come, they will invest, and changes would happen. And that's what I see. Maybe in 5-10 years from now, they project almost we will hit 1 trillion just in the metaverse space itself. There are already some big companies investing, like Roblox and Microsoft. So there are companies who are slowly transitioning, but that moment, the switch needs to happen where, like Astika was also saying, it needs to be wearable gear versus having the bulky or totally blocked out. Google tried that with Google, glasses. The people are keep trying it, but they're not finding enough business needs to invest further and make it, a good investment for them to keep pouring in money. But I see people, will definitely, because see, logically, if you think every few years, a new technology should come over and find a newer ways for people to get entertained and get involved. That's how businesses are made. So this is where people are getting slowly moving towards. So we may see more investment, more regulation, more things changing in this space for sure.
Sure. As we have 8 more minutes left, let's move on to Q&A quickly, and then we share our views accordingly. So I don't see any Q&A specifically asked. Do you guys see anything? We can move on.
So I know we have a couple of users. If any of you wanna have any questions, feel free to just unmute yourself and ask it, or if you want to ping that in the chat, that's also fine for us.
Hey guys, this is Vivek here, the second Vivek on this call. So quick question, who are the big players in this industry as of now, like the top 3 or 5? I see Meta or Facebook, they are, but who are the other ones? Do you guys know?
Not sure if I heard your question well, Vivek. You said.
So who are the big players in this industry?
Metaverse, right?
Yeah.
I know a few of them. Definitely Facebook, like Meta is the biggest one in terms of market cap and investment. I know when it comes to gaming, I think Roblox is one company which has a very big presence, and they have more than 100 million active monthly users, which is like huge. And the virtual spaces, I think Decentraland is one company which sells virtual land and people can buy and do that. So I'm aware of these 3-4 major players. If anyone else know any other company.
I know Apple is making huge investments in it, in the metaverse. They're doing a lot of projects there. Disney made a huge investment, but they cut that out. But I know that Disney has a huge potential, Universal and Disney. So they will get back to it for sure, making investments there. But yeah, I mean, that's what I know about right now.
Yeah, I heard Microsoft is also investing on its own metaverse platform called Mesh. Also had some investments being made by NVIDIA and Epic Games in creating these virtualized environments. Yeah.
Got it. And yeah, if you guys can share offline, I know Astika, you kind of said this call up, any kind of links or that might be useful for us to read, go through that offline. I know I saw that movie recently that was based on Metaverse that won all these awards, and initially it was a bit challenging, to kind of grasp it, but then it takes some time to get into that space for sure.
Sure. Any other Q&As from
I think there's one more question, like a few more questions. One is from Ronak. How can we prevent discrimination against people who are economically disadvantaged in the metaverse and ensure that they have the same opportunities to participate as everyone else? I mean, being on the metaverse is pretty costly affair.
Yeah, this is something definitely companies have to make sure the social and ethical concerns have been addressed before they make the metaverse as mainstream.
Yeah.
Definitely something that.
Yeah, so socially backward, right? How we can make it accessible. I know any new technology or any new mega boom which happens, it takes time. Like I was saying, business should be there. Even you talk about smartphones or accessible internet. It was like it's only for rich people at one point. Now everyone has it. So when we start seeing too many business opportunities, people start investing on these. Right now we have very like few people who are investing on the headgears for this metaverse. Once there is possibility people see, then you will see a lot many people creating different versions of it or cheaper versions of it, and then we'll be able to reach the masses. And beyond this, again, companies or government or others where they promote such initiatives, they can set up a lab or they can set up a opportunity for them to go experience it.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically it needs to evolve and has to be cheaper, and business needs to invest for this to be accessible to challenging folks.
Yeah, I agree with Vivek. So the companies have to prioritize the accessibility from the beginning of the creation of this metaverse platform. Also, this metaverse platform should be made compatible with a lot of assistive technologies like braille displays, voice recognition software, so people of different abilities can actually access these platforms, right? Also, there should be the platform should provide multiple modes of interaction, being it text, voice, or gesture based. Yeah, and the language and culture should also be taken into notice to attract people of different countries, make sure they don't feel separated.
Yeah, I see someone has raised their hand. If no one else has any questions.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, that's me. That's me, Vivek. How does the metaverse work in a political scenario for campaign purpose? Any thought on that?
I can answer that. So right now we have there's a lot of opportunity in political scenarios, like especially campaigning perspective. I know that in some form of fashion, elements of augmented and virtual reality have been used. We had in previous campaigning in India, Prime Minister Modi had holograms. So he was presenting in multiple campaigns where he has his digital twin also presenting the same, campaign speech to different locations. So that aspect has happened. So that is where I did see this happening, a lot of opportunity, and I am not sure about a metaverse voting environment where people. I know there's a lot of debate over whether people can vote electronically from their home or not, because there's a lot of logistics that go after it, and also whether people are policed into doing something they don't want to do. So while we are sorting that debate, if we just think pure technology, there's opportunity to do voting, in metaverse, where you can all go in one place, so you can skip the long lines where people nowadays have to stand like rain or shine and go and vote because they're passionate about voting. I see those kind of environments where metaverse can be used, and I'm like curious to hear what others think.
Just one extended question. You have covered both aspects for voting. Voting comes only when you have very literate voter. My curiosity was known on the side that using metaverse, how to increase the access, pervasive access. Like if there are n million voters in their place, can I reach everyone using social media, using all kinds of communication technology? Unless I do this, I mean, that will be a very efficient way to say, hey, come and vote me. Rather than keep begging and threatening, all kinds of unfortunate things happening. If that access can be established, then the second stage is voting mechanism, which you are right. I would have given you few more industrial examples, but I deliberately, just incidentally, Sugandha, just before attending to this session, I was listening to PK Prashant Kishore version of how he used for Modi and other parties the social media. So I'm quite convinced after listening to Vivek and Reddy and yourself, Metaverse should be helpful in expanding contact on the voting scenario or access. Why only this? Why not social benefits? Why not community services? I mean, I'm not greedy just for political gain. I'm more interested in human gain, welfare of people, accessibility to people. You can be as smart as you know the stuff.
Correct. Mr. Srivastava, now that you asked, I was thinking about it, how it can be used in political sense. One thought is coming to me, probably I'll just put that out for all of you. Because most of the time politicians make comments, or they talk about, oh, we have achieved so and so feat, we have completed this project, completed this highway, or we have built something.
Yes.
There are so many things they talk about which they have accomplished. With Metaverse, right, unless you actually go into those states or go actually visually be there, Metaverse kind of can help you to be virtually in that place and see what has happened. So there is a way for them to showcase what they've actually done for anyone and everyone to see. So then they can build trust or vote based on it. So
correct.
Instead of just a print media saying, oh, we have built, just such a big community stuff for people for help. So now there is a way for me to actually experience it in a way, like people have a way to go and experience Eiffel Tower in a 3D space. They can do that today. Similarly, if there is an opportunity, Metaverse can build that gap. So I will be more comfortable seeing things and then trust our political system. So that could be one area which.
So what you're saying that this technology can help to create visuals of the testimonials of all tall claim of any leader for that matter.
Yes. So they will have
Correct.
an easier medium for masses to actually come and see. They spend a lot on these campaigns. Instead, there is for me to experience, then I might trust the process or a person, then vote. It can help us to build that gap.
Yeah, I do see like accountability and integrity can be tied up with these spaces. So what is the current state and what is the future state, right? So yeah, they can be measured if things are followed.
And if you actually see Metaverse, they can build models and show you in 3D. So if they say, hey, if you vote us or if you bring us in power, we will do XYZ things for your community. So they can actually build that model, show that in real life, like Sugandha said, augmented reality, and the actual existing land space, they can show you a virtual model. So then there is more accountability, and then they're committing towards. So I think it helps to communicate the vision, be more accountable. There are more doors which can open with Metaverse coming in, is what I see.
Yes. Thank you.
Sure, Mr. Srivastava. Thank you for the question.
We have one more question. Can it make a difference where one good teacher can teach students online? So I think it's focusing on the ed tech experience for Metaverse.
Yeah, looks like it can one good.
Like I can definitely take that. So yeah, I do want to talk about how I love augmented reality piece of it. Of course, virtual reality piece of it is also interesting. But just the fact that, if you all remember, Google started this thing where you can just type a name of an animal and it can be next to you in a picture or a video. You can do a 3D map of it. I've seen a lot of that happening in terms of the human body. When people are studying the human body, you can actually navigate through different organs and you can see what's going on. I would have loved if I had something like that for physics. My physics was never very strong, and I'm more visual person. So now that I go back and look at those concepts like diffraction and refraction and all of that, when I see the videos and I'm like, oh, I get it, but when I was a student, I would have loved if there was some kind of augmented reality aspect where the teacher, when they're teaching, they're showing it to me, that, okay, this is what happens, really. And I would have definitely registered that well when I was a student. So I do see these opportunities, but I'm curious to hear what both of you think.
I'll share a couple of my views. Can one good teacher teach multiple folks how they can use Metaverse? Probably is, I think, again, starts with explaining the concept much more clearly, like Sugandha said, and given a choice, I would have it for all the subjects, not only for physics. So that will help us to visualize well. But I also feel let's say if there is a good teacher and to communicate or talk about their subject, the only way they can do it is maybe to a physical set of students, limited, or they can put out some online content, or they can do some one-on-one sessions or Zoom sessions. They are restricted. Monetization wise also it might help, because in virtual reality what they actually say is you can book a virtual room, you can bring people virtually. It's almost like a real scenario, right? So I think teachers can get compensated better. They can create their own virtual space and they can bring in hundreds and students in a huge number. And since it is not recorded or a Zoom or something, they can still have a good one-on-one interaction with the masses. That they can present their concept really well, and they can reach out to people outside their sphere, like not only in their local zone. They can pretty much open it for everyone and anyone to join globally. So it will also help them to establish themselves as a very authoritative, good teacher in their field. And also, I think monetization part, they can explore a little bit more. And, they might get benefited in those senses as well.
And I just thought of something, while you were talking about it, Vivek, I was like, just think about it. Like, if there are like if there are students with accessibility issues, there's somebody who can't hear, right? A hearing disability, whereas a student who has autism, and then there's a student who does not have these disabilities, the teacher may have like digital twins. So while the teacher is speaking or explaining stuff, the hearing disability, they're using the visual cues, so they can also understand what they're talking about, whereas the one who has autism, the same thing is automatically tweaked for them to understand in their own way, and they're not triggered by it. So I think we can personalize experience for students, especially with accessibility issues, in this kind of a classroom. So one good teacher can like teach all kind of students, and the students with disabilities don't have to go to like a different school or a classroom.
That's a very good point. Who wouldn't want to learn from a great leaders, right? If they have access to all this and they don't have to really plan much for it, they can have digital twins and take care of this once they have a platform. So yeah, like you said, there are multiple possibilities and it's only going to get better.
Yeah, very interesting.
All right, guys. I think we are 10 minutes ahead of the time. So I think we really had some great discussion. We'll come up with some other topic next time and let's continue from there. Thanks everyone for joining the call. Yep.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And thanks a lot, Shivali, for your points on fashion impact of Metaverse and fashion. Like they're really good. You and Meenakshi have had a really good conversation there.
Yeah, thanks everyone and for your time, and it was fun talking about it. We'll try to post this in a YouTube or somewhere where more people can also watch this. We'll try to do more of these sessions. We would love to have you all and have more interactive discussions. So thanks for your time.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye.